careful with his actual live army moving around out on the map. He has to be careful that he doesn't get caught out of position.
Yeah, he needs more howitzers. Howitzers are going to make the difference in the next assault.
Ooh, Zlex is starting to poke forward. He's trying to snipe some of the extractors. He knows that his opponent has got the brush advantage, that he's got that artillery, though, so he's being very careful, kind of jockeying for position. Ooh, unfortunately for ZxGanon, if he loses these extractors in the middle, that's not going to be good. There's the teleport forward. He's going for the snipe on the howitzers, just like you talked about. He gets one, but the overwhelming forces from ZxGanon are here. They've got pretty much a surround. Now, Zlex, if he can break this army, he might have enough to push on forward, but ZxGanon comes back out of the brush. He's starting to put a lot of DPS on Zlex. Zlex kills both of the extractors, turn tails, and is going to be getting out of dodge.
Ganon simply has too much units at this moment. The only thing Zlex can do is counter, just be aggressive all over the map. A heads-on confrontation is simply not what he can afford right now. Ooh, but maybe...
Actually, with these reinforcements, he might be able to do it. He's been doing a good job of cutting down the eco of his opponent, and unfortunately we can't see what ZxGanon is at. But I don't know that ZxGanon has enough to hold on with the howitzers coming in for Zlex.
Seems like it's an easy battle there. Howitzers making the difference.
Oh, ZxGanon still has a small contingency force in the south guarding kind of his natural expansion area. So his army is starting to get split up. He doesn't have everything controlled well, and he's not really taking these fights too easily.
Oh, that's again one of the great things about Zlex. Just attacking everywhere, making sure your opponent has to play on its toes. And here's what happens, people splitting their forces, being too careful maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if those units in the south would have made the absolute difference in that battle, but it certainly would have helped. Now, Zlex may actually be losing a contingency of his forces here. He's definitely going to be losing the howitzers if he's not careful, but he is starting to work away again at that eco of his opponent.
Yeah, but Ganon fully reinforced again. Man, a huge army again. Ganon as well.
He's been able to macro that up, and Zlex is trying to push in. He needs to actually get out of here. He's not going to be able to take this southern position against ZxGanon.
Nice. Howitzer micro. Just moving away. One shot, move away again.
Yeah, a little bit of the stutter step. Oh, we have another engagement in the middle near kind of one of those outlying pools. ZxGanon with a pretty clear army advantage, although Zlex could have forces hiding in the brush.
Yeah, it's hide and seek, man. We don't know it either.
Yeah, kind of like with those stealth stalkers in one of the previous matches. Zlex, if he's able to get some nice shots off with the howitzers like he is now, he's actually doing some pretty good damage. He's starting to focus down the howitzers with his lancers. Nice control by Zlex, but ZxGanon, we've seen him pull out these big armies before. Zlex still has to be careful.
Artillery is so strong in this game.
Oh, but Zlex is just targeting down all of the artillery. He's using that second group of forces to just eat away at all of the howitzers, distract them while he pulls the rest of the army apart.
Oh,
there's the GG.
Oh. No surrender yet? That would be BM.
No, it's an offensive GG after he loses that entire army. There we go.
Oh man. Where was the turnaround? Because I'm absolutely sure Ganon was ahead of Zlex the entire game. And until one fight, was it that one fight that cost him the game?
It actually was, just because we had this point where ZxGanon had the higher tech units for so long, and then Zlex traded out a lot of supply, but he was able to snipe down some of those tougher units of his opponent and bought enough time to get up his own higher tech units. And then once Zlex was at that like Lancer, Howitzer, Gladius combo, once he had teched up pretty far and he actually got able to a point where he could contend the army of his opponent, it was just a little bit too many losses for ZxGanon.
Was he too greedy with expanding? Like picking the 13 pool right next to your opponent?
I think he just didn't engage in the correct way that he needed to, because if you think about the eco advantage went to Zlex in kind of the early game, and ZxGanon was like, all right, well, I'm going to tech a little bit faster, and then I'm going to have a much better army. But he didn't actually ever do anything with that army. And we saw some different points where Zlex tried to engage, and he just had to keep kiting away from the army because he knew that if he actually straight up engaged that army, he would lose.
You know, one thing I would like to see in the next match is you've got the anti-air unit from humans, and you can actually upgrade it so it also shoots at ground units. The range on those things is insane, and they also shoot when they move. So the kiting is amazing. You can easily pick up howitzers all the time like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those few metagame changes you see when playing. It's really fun. The
when the game
is constantly changing. It's so fun to play this game right now.
Well, it is just a couple of days old, of course. Grey Goo. Well, actually, I guess it's a week old today, because it released January 23rd. It's out now, and of course, if you guys want to participate in GameReplays.org, King of the Hill for Grey Goo, you can go to ggreplays.com.
Exactly. Still looking for a lot of players. We will try to stream and host broadcasts like this 2 or 3 times per week. So just join, man. Will be fun.
Indeed. Now we're going once again into a human versus human matchup, and I know kind of officially, if you look at like the official kind of lore, quote unquote, on the game, then the humans are kind of the defensive faction. They're kind of the turtley faction. But with a guy like Zlex in a human mirror, we're seeing lots of aggro.
Yeah, well, it's fun. Like early in the beginning, lots of people were complaining, well, you cannot attack. There is no action. But there's constant action. It's like from the start, you have to know what your opponent is doing. As on the top, we've got Zlex again, playing human in red.
And on the right side, the blue humans, he's down 0-1 in this best of 3. It's ZxGanon. Immediately into the double refinery. Man, these guys, they are taking no chances. And you don't even have to build your refinery right away.
Now, well, that's maybe a thing. Well, even if you do not build it right away, people will know what you are doing. It's not like you think, oh, he's holding back his factory. No, it's like...
Well, yeah, because if you're going factory, you have to start it right away.
Exactly, so it does not really matter.
Yep, and once again, the 2 scouting units, the tridents from each player, they of course perfectly counter each other. And yeah, it's not like there's any particular micro that you can do to come out ahead in that engagement. You want to get the first shot off, but you're not going to survive it anyways unless you get 2 shots off.
Well, do you think it would be better if the units would fire when moving?
I don't know, but I wish there was some sort of ability that they had that would kind of change up the interactions between units. Because if you think about a game like Red Alert 3, every unit has an alternate ability, and that can really change up every interaction. If you just think about like Peacekeeper versus Imperial Warrior, like that's not just Peacekeepers shoot at Imperial Warriors, even Peacekeeper versus Peacekeeper. Like if we would have seen here, there's so many different ways that particular engagement can turn out other than this.
Yeah, true. Well, even if you look at 0 Hour, when you have a tank fight, the outcome would be different as well, because they shoot on the move. So...
yeah, that's a possibility.
So it's just a simple change. It changes a lot, of course, but it's relatively easy to change, and it would totally change the game.
I don't know about if betas would like that, if the tridents could fire while moving and the commandos couldn't. But we've got the double factory for each player. Oh, 2 more factories added on for ZxGanon, so he's looking to put on a lot of pressure.
Indeed. He's not going to the late game. He noticed Zlex was dominating the late game last time, so he's like, okay, let's not go into late game this time. Let's finish this fast.
And of course, on Stalker's Rise, you don't have the same sort of like 13 pool kind of mass that you do in Grasslands, but I do believe there are a couple of 13 pool spots on this map, but they're much more central.
Yeah,
you're going to be more in the kind of middle of the map, and we saw that kind of work to the disadvantage of Sarcasm in the mid to late game versus Zlex in one of the previous series, where Zlex, those expansions were so far out in the open, Zlex was able to utilize the extra space on the map and just pull his opponent apart.
Well, the plus 13s are exactly in the middle of the map. It's 4 spots with plus 13. I think you can only place one on them, so there are 4 plus 13 spots. But Zlex is going safe again, building his extractor on the left.
Yeah, and of course, because both players lost their scouting units, they technically haven't scouted what the other guy is doing, and that's most important for Zlex, because he's not going to know about this pressure, although, ooh, he does actually spot it a little bit here.
Yeah, because of the harvesters.
Yeah, he knows, well, and he's got a trident over there, but yeah, because he expanded off to the left, he's going to know about this, and ZxGanon, he's pooling all of his forces over here. So if this is buying quite a bit of time now, of course, Zlex needs to get up a turret.
Indeed, but even though he has an extractor there, he had no income from it whatsoever yet.
Yeah, all the harvesters are just being sniped.
Indeed. Ganon is in a nice position here right now. Moving in from the right side as well. Camping on the left side.
Yeah, he's got a ridiculous amount of production, of course. Zlex is now up to that 4 factory production. ZxGanon did add on a 5th factory, which I believe will be technically putting him at a deficit, but it's like, he'll be able to mostly afford it. Not quite, though.
Yeah, not sure how that actually works. I'm not sure if you actually produce more units or not.
Well, actually, wait a second. I think Tridents and, well, they're just building Tridents, so I think Tridents are +5 a second. Or -5 a second, I'm pretty sure, to build, so I don't know that 5th factory actually makes any sense at all, because he's only getting +20 a second and he's draining 25 a second.
Yeah, exactly. 4 factories is -0 or +0,
yeah,
so the 5th is a bit, I don't know, I'm not, maybe there's a beautiful theory behind it, but I'm not aware of it.
There might be a slight advantage. Now, Zlex is moving out a little bit here. He needs to be careful that he doesn't get caught by a really harsh concave of ZxGanon. And Zlex, again, he's bought a lot of time. He's been able to build up those turrets. And now ZxGanon, he's moving in. He's just doing a bit of that stutter step to get all of his units nice and close.
I don't think he has enough.
If he tries to engage into a heavy sentinel, he definitely doesn't have enough. He might be able to overwhelm some of the forces of Zlex here, but Zlex has the much closer production. Yeah, ZxGanon is going to be forced to push away, and it's like that 5 factory production is good and all, but he pooled so many forces. Zlex was able to get up 4 factories of his own. He was able to produce quite a few units.
The second refinery from Ganon coming up now, but it's spotted right away.
Now, of course, the good thing that Ganon is doing is sniping all of the harvesters of Zlex, meaning the Zlex spent that extra 800 on that refinery and hasn't really gotten anything for it.
No. Well, one thing to note, though, for newer players, or maybe even experienced players, if a harvester is coming back from the catalyst pool and you shoot it, it will explode and it will harm your units. So be careful when shooting returning harvesters.
Yeah, I think we saw a little bit, yeah, you can see every time there's one that's coming back from the refinery or from the extractor, ZxGanon is indeed pulling his forces away from it.
Indeed. A little fight on the bottom left, won by Ganon, and his second extractor is up.
Oh yeah, the 2 tridents in the bottom right there. Now ZxGanon, he's continuing to just pump off of those factories. He's keeping his 5th one up and running as well. He is starting to expand south, so he's going to have a little bit more money. He can start adding on more refineries or potentially more tech if that's what he wants to do. But Zlex, he's got those anti-heavy sentinels up, so he can potentially bait ZxGanon into fighting against this heavy sentinel.
No, you can only contain him in his base for now.
Oh, there we go. The heavy sentinel is getting some nice shots off, so Zlex is going to have that defensive advantage.
Yeah,
and I don't know that... Yeah, ZxGanon needs to just pull away.
Well, the best thing... I think this engagement was a pretty huge mistake. He had more units, and simply contain your enemy. Get ahead in eco, and win this game. There is no need for him